And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, and we are here. I need to brush my hair. We are here for another week of topics, conversation, and more. At the end of the show, we'll definitely have our What I Don't Like. As you can see right now, it's only me. CJ is out this week, and hopefully the franchise will be trickling in sometime very soon. Lori will be in pretty soon as well, as she's dealing with a new dog sitter. Listen, y'all, first of all, before I go into dog sitting, we're streaming live. That's what I wanted to say. We're streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as YouTube. If you go to our YouTube channel, which is Empower TV Network, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, share the channel to let everybody else know about our show. We come on live every Thursday at 6 p.m. And then we also have our Empower TV network on Roku as well as Amazon Fire. So we are out there, y'all. We out here. We are in season 3. We've done well over 70-ish episodes of the show, and would love for you to join us. Also on Wednesdays, we have our head-to-head sports show with myself and my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove, where we break out or recap rather, the NFL season. So we've already got 2 weeks of the regular season in the bag. It was our 6th show the other day, because we did 4 preseason shows leading up to the regular season. So always good there, ladies. If you're not as well versed in football, it's a good hour to have to be able to talk about it. Fellas, it's good for you too if you know a little bit about football and you want to talk a little bit more about football. So it's got a little bit of something for everybody. So it's also at 6 p.m., but it's on Wednesdays, head-to-head sports. And again, when we go live, please like, share, and subscribe. Would appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, with our show here, if you would like to be a panelist on our show, you do not have to have a degree in political science. You don't have to have had appearances on MSNBC or Fox News. We will take you as you are. I feel like most people that if you've lived long enough in this life, you have an opinion about what's going on with the world politically or not, because a lot of times when we talk about politics on the show, it's really because politics is kind of intertwined in everything. Whether you think about it that way or not, there's always some kind of political lean on it. You name it, and I can tell you, you name the situation, and I can tell you the way politics plays a part into it. The thing is, a lot of times we don't think about it. And Brian, why do you talk about politics so much? Why is that such a big thing? Well, because it really shapes the way things get done. When you're sitting there and you're always going, man, I wish things could be better and this could be better. A lot of times it's just because of representation. It's making sure that we have the right people in political positions to be able to make those decisions. And I'll always be one to say that politics starts at the local level. It's always about getting involved in school boards, local county, municipality races, and things like that. It is simply not every 4 years trying to figure out who's going to be the president, but it's a lot more to politics than that. Before I go any further, let's welcome in the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the one who has slightly better bald head than I do. That would be one, Mr. Jermaine, the franchise Parker. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, brother? Doing all right.
Oh, good to see you. Man, it's just crazy. Just letting everybody know about the show. If you want to come on and be a panelist, please send me an email at theparkermedia, the word the Parker, Park media, media, at gmail.com. and come on, share your thoughts, chuck it up with us. We're not gonna harm you. We're not gonna bite you. We're not gonna bite our with Jermaine.
No, not absolutely. And you don't have to be on time.
That's right, and you can still come in. There's some places where if you get in late, the doors are locked and you can't come in. Hello, Mr. Shannon Call. How are you doing, sir? Shannon Call is on, Jermaine.
Huh?
I said Shannon Call is on.
Oh, what's up, Shannon?
Yeah, so I'll be seeing Shannon in a couple of weeks. So I believe it's going to be Thursday, the 20th, that you will not be seeing me because Lori and myself will actually be on a cruise with Shannon and his beautiful wife, Dee Dee. They're celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary, and we're going to join them on a cruise to the Caribbean. So we will be out that week, but we will be on all the way up until then. I believe I will be in New York next week on Thursday, but I believe I should be able to remotely do the show. Lori can probably run it from Charlotte, and then I'll just kind of join in. Yeah. I told Erica Jermaine that we're gonna send her a link and get her on the show too. So just so she can contribute some tidbits, and also at the end for our what I don't like segment. Also, if you are a vendor, if you have a side job where maybe there's things that you make or things that you do, please, by all means, shoot us a message. We'd love to let other folks know about any events or products and things like that you have. So if you have any kind of business on the side and you want to be able to promote it, hey, listen, I know commercials can be very expensive. We can put something out for you. Oh, look at the smile there. I guess her ears were burning. Hello, Lori. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I apologize for being late.
Well, that's okay. I actually had my dummy, the producer here that would have stepped in to take your place. Producer? Yeah. So Pimp is in the background, Lori, doing some things. I had him on just in case you were going to be running late to run some of the clips and things that I have loaded.
Yes, I was interviewing a dog sitter. So
Yeah. So I was going to get into dog sitting. So I don't know how many of you animal lovers there is out there. I get on Lori all the time about this. When you get to our age, you'd like to just be able to get up and go sometimes. But you know what? When you have a dog, you can't just get up and go. It's like having a baby all over again, because whether you're going out of town or you're just going out for the night, you have to think about that damn dog. When is you walking? When did you feed him? All of that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, you're gonna come back to a pissy and dookie-ish house. So you better figure it out. But you gotta be, when a lot of times people want animals, just like they want kids, because they're cute and they make you feel good. But you have to realize that it is a job. It is a job to have an animal. This is my public service announcement, Lori, where if you want to have an animal, you need to think about everything beyond the fact that they're cute. You got to feed them things. They eat a lot. They crap a lot. I used to laugh at Lori when we were in New York because it could be snowing sideways, and I'd be like, "Well, somebody got to walk him." When it's raining sideways, somebody's got to walk him. He doesn't care that it's snowing and that it's raining or it's 5 o'clock in the morning and all those things. So all of those
and
things,
I have done that as well.
I seen
I
you.
have walked him.
I have seen you. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But those are things that I don't think people always think about when they get an animal, is that, hey, you're at work and your friends after work want to go get some drinks because it's happy hour and that kind of thing. And your response is, "Oh, I got to go check on my dog."
Well,
And then especially when you're in New York, that normally means I got to go catch the train and ride the train halfway across town then go to my walk-up apartment and then go get my dog, walk him down, and then walk him. And after I've been walked all day. So there's a lot of things into it. And I'm not trying to discourage people from getting a dog. All I would say to you is think about it. Because now Lori's having to go. She comes to me the other day and tells me how much it's going to cost for somebody to actually watch the dog while we're gone. And what did I say, Lori? Glad I ain't paying for it.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
So just to give everyone just what's going on. I was looking to, we normally had a dog sitter that we had used previously, but haven't heard from her. So, and I went back to the service that I was using where I found her initially. And that's where Brian is talking about the price. So we actually did a Craigslist ad and found this very lovely lady who where that's why I was late, because she had come by because she was in the area and wanted to kind of sit there and to meet Buddy.
Who's Buddy?
That's the dog. And
Doug.
She's super nice. Definitely, as we were sitting there and talking and getting to know one another, her husband loves bourbon, cigars, does all the other things. So definitely, as we were laughing and talking about, she's like, her husband David, he loves cigars as well. So
you gave her some of my cigars.
Huh? Yes.
You gave her some of my cigars?
No, I did not give her any of your cigars.
No.
But,
okay.
You know.
This show was about to wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you'd have an issue, but that's fine. Yeah. But she really enjoyed meeting Buddy, who is a big ham, and immediately it just was like he wanted to go with her as she was leaving.
And you should have let him.
It's like, but she will come back to get him.
Tomorrow?
And she actually, yes.
Tomorrow?
No, in later in October, we're going. So.
Well, anyway. So yeah, y'all, just think about that before you get an animal. I think Jermaine had some technical difficulties. It looks like all we've got is his audio. Jermaine, I don't know if you know that, but let us know. Anyway, so let everybody know about the show, about coming on, being a panelist if you so feel inclined. We would love to be able to have you on and talk about a lot of different things. Lori, there's a lot of things going on, and I'm going to get to some of the main things, but I kind of wanted to show you a couple of clips first.
Absolutely, because there's way too many things going on in the news right now that we all need to talk about.
All right, well, okay, so Lori, if I'm gonna cue it up this way. If you guys remember, I was telling y'all about how I was giving a ride home to a guy that was semi-intoxicated, and hold on, let me mute out JP. Semi-intoxicated, but he wanted to start talking about Trump, and he was talking about gas prices and all this other stuff. And, I really think people don't really understand how gas prices work. And it's sad because the information is out there, but I really believe that there is a huge, I don't know if it's a majority, but it feels like one, that really believe that just because gas is here in America, it's our gas. Like it's not, there's no such thing as capitalism. That every time a drop of oil is pulled out of this country, it stays in this country. Now, if that was true, then gas prices would not fluctuate like they do. But it's funny how people don't realize that. So I want you to listen to this idiot, because I can't think of any other word to call this person. But listen to this idiot talk about drafting articles of impeachment because of gas. The pimp. Hookers. Did I not?
Which one am I touching? Or you?
Oh my goodness. Hold on a second, Lori. I don't think I queued it up. Oh man, Lori, I didn't queue it up yet. Let's keep talking, and I'll find it real quick. Because I'm gonna queue it up. I didn't queue it up.
Oh, because there's some other clips that did you want me to play those?
Not yet, because
Okay.
that'll kind of be out of order. Let's go to JP. JP, you good now?
Yeah, I'm cooking dinner.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, right on.
Children got to eat.
Burn the house down, so.
Yeah, children got to eat.
He said children got to eat. Okay. All right.
But you're talking about gas? What is this in reference to? I'm sorry.
So, like how I brought up the other week, how I had given a guy a ride and he wanted to start talking about Trump and everything and about gas prices.
Yeah.
And I could tell from my conversation with him, he really had no idea how gas worked. Because when I would bring up how gas was being affected by things going on in other countries like Ukraine and things like that, his response was, man, I don't give a crap about Ukraine. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, but it has something to do with the gas prices. Like, I think that he honestly believed that gas that comes out of our ground in America stays in America. And he didn't understand how the whole global thing worked.
So a lot of people don't understand how gas works, right? And so, and quite honestly, until the prices get high, no one cares how anything works. People generally don't question combustion. They just turn a key, hit the gas, and they go.
Right.
And I've used that before. Vehicles is what I compare things to for understanding. Like, people say, well, I need to understand. I'm like, well, no, you don't, because there's a lot of things that operate that you don't understand. And you are quite happy to be ignorant about those things. So gas is a commodity. And if you don't know what a commodity is, this whole conversation is wasted on you. But the idea, the strategic plan of the United States have been the reason that they have what's called strategic reserve, is that the United States' whole plan was to use the rest of the world's gas and use ours last. So when everybody else, because they understood, they might talk about renewables. You have politicians that, windmills cause cancer and all this other stuff. And they talk junk about renewables, but the United States for decades has understood that there's only so much oil in the ground. And so there's only so much gas to be made. So the reason we buy from other people, whether it be South America or the Middle East gas that we buy, is because we're trying to use all their gas first. And while they get rich off of that now, the idea is that eventually they will run theirs dry, and then they'll have to come to us, and the tables will be turned on gas. They understand that too. Everybody understands that. As people will start talking about electric cars and stuff, and these batteries and this, I get that this generation of technology may not be for everybody, but eventually that's the way. Your great grandkids, if they could hear you talk about electricity and renewable energy and stuff, be like, "Wow, you're stupid."
It's like trying to talk to a caveman.
But yeah, and so because we depend on a global market and stuff, and that's everything. This world in 2022 is connected, and so famines and droughts, political uprisings. There are a lot of different things to contribute to pirates. We have pirates off the coast of the eastern coast of Africa. and people having to pay, companies having to pay ransom to get their ships back, which leads nations to making policies about how they deploy their naval resources in order to help protect the gas that goes in through the straits and stuff. It's not complicated, but it's not a simple thing either. There are a lot of things that factor. But I mean, the same people who say, "Hey, can't we lower our gas?" We do. Like when they release barrels from our strategic reserve. That's just to make sure, because gas is like any other commodity and stuff. It's based on supply and demand.
It's some speculation.
And some speculations too, right? And so, and again, if you don't know the words commodity or speculation, this conversation is lost on you. It really is. Yeah, it really is.
But you know what, Jermaine? You're right. If you're talking about really understanding the nuts and the bolts and how one thing connects to another. But if you just go in understanding the premise that just because it's made here, it doesn't stay here, you'll be a lot further along, and you won't assume things. So let me show you this clip because I got it. And just listen to this fool for a minute. Here we go. I got it, Lolo. The producer got it.
I just introduced articles of impeachment on President Joe Biden. Joe Biden is selling our strategic petroleum reserves. This should never happen. He is draining our reserves and selling our oil, Americans' oil, to foreign countries, and China is the top buyer. China is our enemy. They are not our friend. They're buying Americans' oil.
So a lot to digest there. One, probably not the rhetoric, unless China really is. I will tell you,
they are. The answer, Jermaine, is
they're not.
They could be, and this is why. We do hold on to strategic oil, but we do not have a nationalized oil. So when we sell those things to oil companies in the U.S., they can then turn around. And I'm going to tell you, the funny thing is they can do this because Congress has allowed them to do this. They can then turn around. So we give up some of our oil to a BP, as an example. They do not have anything that keeps them from then turning around and putting it on an open market and selling it to the highest bidder. There's nothing that keeps them from doing it, because we have actual laws in place that allow them to be able to do that. So is it possible that China has gotten a little bit of our oil? Yeah. But you know what? That didn't just start. That's been going on forever. No matter whether it was a Democrat or a Republican in the White House, that has been going on forever.
I'll be honest with you. Responding to those clips of Taylor Green, it's really not worth it, because most of her arguments are incoherent, inconsistent, and they're just not grounded in any kind of reality and stuff. She is slightly a step above Herschel Walker in terms of intelligence.
Wow, you were being nice.
Yeah, but
I've recently heard Herschel talk.
I got two problems with that. I got two problems with that. Normally, there's one that says it, and there's a whole lot to think it. Because I ran into somebody that thinks it. She's the one that has a platform to amplify it. That's the scary part, is that when you're ignorant to something and yet you have a platform to amplify it. So I don't necessarily mean to respond to the fact that she's a dope. Everybody should kind of know that. But there's a lot of people that voted for her that when they see her clips, they think that she's right, and they espouse those things. And they think that's really grounds for impeachment. Well, so there's a lot of things in it outside of the fact that the gas and this and that, the other, but people believe you can indict somebody. I mean, you can impeach somebody almost like you can indict somebody. Like they always say, you can indict a ham sandwich. Well, you just can't willy-nilly impeach somebody like you can indict somebody for a ham sandwich.
But you can, actually.
Well, yeah. I guess you're right. If you got to
because impeachment is a political thing. It's not a criminal thing.
That's
you don't
true.
have to prove
That's
anything.
true. That's true.
You don't prove anything. She's absolutely right. You can impeach on based on that tan suit that Obama wore.
That if you got 60 senators willing to vote, that's true. That's true. Yeah, which then goes back to the whole thing that I opened the show with is about getting involved in voting and things like that, making sure that you have the right representation because somebody elected her into office to go represent their district in the U.S. Congress. And and that's why I kind of brought up on the other show that and I'm not saying that you got to have some kind of poll tax or something like that, but damn, you got to have some kind of IQ test for these people to be able to get in the. I know that there's not.
Nope.
But my God.
As a black person, shame on you for even bringing it up.
I know, but I mean, like a bare minimum, Jermaine. Like,
nope. As a black person, shame on you for even bringing it up.
But I mean, okay.
If you know anything about history in this country,
I do. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you were a person that was trying to become a citizen of the United States, do you not have to take a citizenship class and pass that class?
And here's the thing, and this is why I tell you this about you throw up here, know your history and stuff. Yes, if you want to come from the outside and be a citizen, you do have to show some effort, right? and have some civics classes and stuff. But that's not the way. And there is no weapon formed against somebody else that's not formed against us. Everything about our history with voting and stuff has been poll taxes. Can you read? Are you intelligent enough? Even when voting started in this country and stuff, it was only property owners and stuff and people who white people thought were smart enough to vote and stuff. Any hurdle is to disenfranchise black and brown people.
Okay.
Any hurdle that you come up with.
But let me put this on to you because
but your argument is for a better educational system, not for poll taxes.
No, I'm not even going anywhere near poll taxes because I'm not saying I think there needs to be a requirement for people to vote. That's not what I was going at. I'm talking about for people to actually go into the office of the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Congress. I'm not talking about who should be able to vote for their representatives. I'm talking about shouldn't there be a bar? And the reason I say this is if I want to become a lawyer, I've got to pass the bar exam. If I want to become a doctor, I have to have a medical degree. If I want to sit there and get certain Fortune 500 jobs, I might have to go back to school and get a master's or a PhD. So there are a lot of jobs that you have to have to become a load master. There's certain training that's involved in that. Those are required in other jobs. Hell, to serve food, you have to take food handling classes so that you understand the bare minimums about first in and first out and those kind of things. Huh?
It's not the same.
So becoming a representative of Congress is different than any other job?
Because anybody can if the people choose somebody to represent them in their thoughts, that's who should represent them. I understand what the problem is with a person like Taylor Greene, but that's her constituents believe that she represents them.
But then what's the difference between there being an age limit on when you can become president or when you can be a congressperson?
Look, what I'll tell you is a couple things. Number one is that it's public service. Do you have to have a degree in order to be on a jury?
No,
you don't. Why? Because you're supposed to be representative
of your peers,
and stuff, right? And so we don't disqualify who represents us. We don't.
But you have to you do have to be a certain age.
Well, I mean, you have to be a certain age for a lot of things, right? I mean, quite honestly, anything of responsibility, you have to be a certain age. And do I agree with the age limits and stuff? No, I don't, especially the one for president. I think it's way too high. But you understanding the time frame, life expectancy, when all these laws are written and stuff, there's a reason because those were your elders.
Right.
Those are the people who had lived long enough to have wisdom and stuff, had enough life experience and stuff. The founders of this country actually, because like I say, when they started off, they had the same mindset. They didn't want people who they thought were uneducated to vote because they were afraid of Donald Trump. They were afraid that somebody
Right.
would whip up the masses and stuff, and sway people who without education and stuff into vote for them and putting them into power and stuff. They were afraid. They were literally afraid of that. That was one of their motivators for why they only let certain people vote in the beginning. Uh, I will say this because it's America and stuff. If there's any rule that will disenfranchise, it will be guaranteed not to be focused at the people that you want. But when we start agreeing that it's a very slippery slope in this country,
Well, yeah,
we can't even pass the John Lewis voting right now.
and again, but see, Jermaine, I've seen. I know what you're saying. I totally get it. I agree with you for most of the way, but I've seen too many clips, and you'll see them on Facebook or whatever, where they will ask regular, born in this country citizens civics questions, and they can't tell you. You'll say, "How many branches of government are there?"
That's
Or
that's not a voting problem. That's an educational problem within this.
No, I agree. I agree. But what I'm saying is, but then that same person that couldn't answer any of those questions can turn around, run for Congress, win a seat, and do absolutely nothing.
That's not a lack. That's not a lack of their education. That's a lack of education of voters.
I agree.
In general.
But because politics a lot of times is they vote for people that tell them what they want to hear. So people that may have a lower educations and things like that, a lot of times, I don't want to call them total victims, but they can kind of get pulled into hearing somebody talk like them and act like them, and they think that that person represents me.
What we're talking about is very ignorant people. And yes, do we have a couple with Bo Bird and Taylor and a couple,
Gates, Gomer,
yeah,
Chip Roy,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely have those. But the system should work, right? When these people were elected, remember it was a hot time in culture politics, and so they didn't do anything but ride that wave.
Correct.
Because again, as I said before, and I'm not really big on Democrats. I am not. I think that they're very lazy. They don't do the work because they're more concerned about politics. But at least at some facets they run on actual issues like infrastructure. That's an issue. We have to address our aging infrastructure as the nation gets older. Republicans don't have a platform that they run off of other than identity politics. And so it was easy for those people to come in because they didn't have to answer any tough questions.
Right.
That's a breakdown of their party. Right. That's a breakdown of how and what if they had to run on issues, none of them could actually run on issues, right? They'd have failed in their first debate when they were exposed as idiots because all they had to do was talk about walls and people come across borders and all the stuff that had been whipped up since 2016 in politics and stuff. It was easy for them to slip in because you're right, people are passionate about things, and they wanted somebody who was as passionate as them to go to Washington and make that change that they were not seeing from other people. But again, I just think, you would think to yourself, well, this person, but it's a representative. When we talk about representative things in this country and stuff, anybody can represent you. You don't have to hire a lawyer to represent you. Literally, you could either represent yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, we've always had some low information people in Congress. This isn't a new phenomenon by any stretch of the imagination, but it does seem like lately it's getting worse. like where that person before was kind of the outlier, now I can run through at least about 15 to 20 of them off the top of my head that are really, really challenged. Or when you look at somebody like a Herschel Walker being in almost statistical tie with Raphael Warnock, that just makes you go, wait a minute, that just can't be right. Because when you look at both candidates and you look at one that has substance, one that doesn't, how is it the one that doesn't could potentially win? But
It's the same way our culture values half naked women over women that are some value and stuff.
hey, don't talk about my half naked women now.
I'm just
Please
saying.
do, and no, we can stop talking about your half naked women. How about that?
Well, I'm just saying that this country at this point does not value substance.
Yes, that's true.
And this culture, I mean, seriously, they don't value substance. They're more about performance than they are about substance.
And you know
That
what,
is so true.
leading into that, I don't know if you stumbled into that by happenstance, but and I hope that this is taken the way that I mean it. But I am so glad that Queen Elizabeth is finally in the ground, because I saw too many people writing celebrity instead of substance when most of the royals roles are very ceremonial and everything. They're just high class rich celebrities, and to see people travel from all over to stand in line for hours, um but would complain about standing in line to vote for an hour.
Well,
um
I don't begrudge England their history and their tradition.
I don't either.
If you know, and she was a queen. She was one of the longest serving queens, if not the
The
longest serving
longest,
queen.
yes.
Absolutely.
And I think especially somebody that has lived that long, 90 something years. Well, you're going back into the 30s. And let me tell you, if you want to talk about people and their behavior in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, somebody still alive, like if your grandmother's 96 years old and she's not black, you got a white grandmother, she has said the N-word or watched somebody get lynched or some boy
Right.
wishes her and she don't got them beat up or killed. All that history is hard to ignore.
Sure.
But the thing is that it's a celebration of life, and generally speaking, when people pass, we're nice enough to overlook some of the things they did, unless it hurt a lot of people. And I think that's some of the blowback from there's such thing as Black Twitter, but evidently there's Irish Twitter too that went in on the Queen when she died. Look, I didn't know the bitch, and so I don't know, So if you want to stand in line to watch somebody go by, I mean, I would stand in line for Mary J tickets. So I mean,
That's the only queen you worried about,
that's the
huh?
only thing I'm worried about. In fact, when they said the Queen was dead, I said not Latifah. I was all shook up.
Oh Lord, yeah.
There's only a couple queens I know.
Jermaine, I get the whole thing with England and everything because of monarchs and this and that and the other.
Yeah.
It's not them. It's everybody outside of England. Every freaking news channel sent over 3 and 4 reporters. Oh, there's the helicopter. There's Charles. There's the nephew standing in front of her casket. There's this. There's that, and just being entranced by this. And I'm going.
But you got to understand,
history. It's history. It's tradition.
History. It was history. Like to the chagrin again of Irish Twitter, she's not going to die again. And so,
okay. So when Mohammed bin Salman dies in Saudi Arabia, is it going to be the same thing? When Maduro dies, is it going to be the same thing? When Orban dies, is it going to be the same thing?
It's going to be the same thing when Obama died.
Not now. Now that's different. But when Kim Jong-un dies, other than True Social probably dedicating their whole platform to it because of the love letters, is American media going to really give two craps about Kim Jong-un passing?
No, and again, we're talking about different things, right?
Okay.
These are not apples and apples. that we're talking about. We are talking about, and the Royals have been romanticized, right? Because and like any good PA should do, because quite honestly, why are English people paying for their lifestyles? I mean, that's come up, right? Like a lot in England. And why do we still? Absolutely, Marlon. Luckily for me, I won't have to stand in line.
I hope not.
I won't have to stand in line.
I will. I'll be at the very end.
But I will absolutely be broke up. Absolutely,
I'll be at the very end of the line, and if I don't make it in, then that's fine.
Absolutely broke up. But no, I mean, but seriously, it's history. That's why.
I get it.
There's a lot.
It
like
just
with the
seemed like they
weddings.
overdid it. I thought the longest funeral I ever saw was Aretha Franklin's. It took about 12 hours.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Like Aretha's, like that was like no joke. That was a service.
That was too much.
That was a service, right? She's not royalty.
Well, she was the queen of soul.
Royalty.
She was queen of soul now.
Yeah, she's queen of soul. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's why Mary J's got the title. But it seriously, it is historic and stuff, and that's why I don't begrudge them. When you say like now, like I've always been curious about what America's fascination with the royal family is.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I think I said it last time. It's white supremacy. That's what their fascination is. I figured it out. There's some rich white people doing whatever they want to do, living luxury. Hell yeah, that sounds like a dream. I mean, like Wakanda. Wakanda was a black man's dream. The royal family is a white man's dream. Yeah, people want to be king and queen. They think being princes and stuff, especially when they grow up, and because that's the kind of look at our culture and how we describe princes. When princes and kings and queens and stuff in our literature and our movies and stuff, it's based off of that. So when they see it in real life, it's intriguing. It's enticing.
It's like bringing the story to life.
It's bringing the story to life. Absolutely.
The king and the queen, and the princesses, and the pomp and circumstance, and you actually get to witness it in real life.
Yep.
I get that. It just still seems like it's just overblown. It just does.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell you right now. There's a dude right now, 40 years old, with a Lego set that is amazing. He's fascinated with it. Everybody has their own kind of kink or thing that they're into, man. And so some people are just into the royal family. Some people are into Legos. Some people dress up as furries. I mean,
I would ask you what you're into, but I just feel like that would take this show way left.
Me?
The street.
I'm into the 5 pillars of Islam, and so that's what I'm into now. And nothing devious.
Okay. Well, I got some kinks, but that'll be for our after hours show.
Yeah. No, I prayed mine away.
He's frozen.
Join me?
I don't see.
He's frozen.
Am I?
You were frozen for a minute.
He ain't frozen.
Yes, you were.
Oh, was he?
No. Jermaine wasn't frozen. You were frozen.
Oh,
I was.
Yes.
Oh, I saw my thing spin for a second, so maybe okay.
Yes, and Sarah Parker made a comment.
Yeah, we saw it. That's why we were laughing.
Yeah, that was the I won't be waiting in line.
Yeah, when we were talking about waiting in line, and Jermaine said hopefully he won't have to wait in line, is because she talking about same thing when she goes. It's gonna be
a long line.
Listen, Sarah Parker. I remember Lori and I actually being able to go watch Steve Harvey at the World Greatest Apollo Theater for their Showtime at the Apollo that they were filming, where Tay Diggs actually showed up in costume, and we didn't know it was him at first, but we were there because they paid us to be there. We were fill-ins for the seats. And Lori, what was it, $50 a piece or $100 a piece?
$50 a piece.
So they gave us $50 bills as we walked out to sit there for a 4-hour taping. And I found it on one of my casting calls or something like that, because they actually cast for that, just like they cast for the Steve Wilkos show that films in Connecticut. the same as Jerry Springer that used to film up in Connecticut. All of those are right outside of New York City. So a lot of times they would pay you to be in the studio audience to fill up the seats. So Sarah Parker, what I'm afraid is that when this day unfortunately comes, I'm going to have to put an ad on Craigslist and pay people $10 in a Corona to show up at the church.
Wow.
I told that long story just to get to that. Anyway, and
I'm not sure that was necessary.
Stories and what I don't like. Anyway, as you guys have heard, there's a lot of stuff going on with Donald Trump. I'm only going to brush on it just for a second because, Jermaine, I ran across this clip that was just fascinating. Everybody that, if you ain't been under a rock lately, you know Donald Trump is going through a lot of stuff right now. We feel bad for the Donald. No, we really don't. But one of the biggest things was the FBI came in with a search warrant and went through Mar-a-Lago because of the presence of classified documents that should have been stored at the National Archives that Trump decided to take anywhere he wanted. And he, at first, when it was initially reported, when he reported it, that they were raiding his home, which it wasn't a raid. They tried to go in quietly. They didn't go in with raid jackets and stuff like that. They just tried to be low key, but they went in and retrieved a lot of documents. And one of his first defenses was either they planted it, or even if they didn't plant it and they found stuff there, it was already declassified because he had a way that once he took it to the residences or out of the Oval Office, it was automatically declassified. And if you listen to enough people that know how classifications work, there is a process to declassify documents. Jermaine would know that. Okay, so this fool is on Sean Hannity's show last night, and I just want you to listen to what he said. We'll come back, and then there's another part that I want you to re-listen to again because a lot of you may miss it. So here it is. Producer?
So let me ask you this question, because I think this is the next logical question, because the president of the United States, you, unlike, say, Hillary Clinton in her case, right, a president has the power to declassify.
Correct.
Okay. You had said on Truth Social a number of times you did declassify. I
did declassify, yes.
Okay. Is there a process? What was your process to declassify?
There doesn't have to be a process, as I understand it. You know, there's different people say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it, because you're sending it to Mar-a-Lago or to wherever you're sending it. And there doesn't have to be a process. There can be a process, but there doesn't have to be. You're the president. You make that decision. So when you send it, it's declassified. I declassified everything. Now, I declassified things, and we were having a lot of problems with NARA. You know, NARA is a radical left group of people running that thing. And when you send documents over there, I would say there's a very good chance that a lot of those documents will never be seen again. There's also a lot of speculation because of what they did, the severity of the FBI coming and raiding Mar-a-Lago. Were they looking for the Hillary Clinton emails that were deleted, but they are around someplace? Were they looking for the spying on Trump's?
You're not saying you had it.
No, they may be saying, they may have thought that it was in there.
Okay.
And a lot of people said the only thing that would give the kind of severity that they showed by actually coming in and raiding with many, many people is the Hillary Clinton deal, the Russia stuff, or I mean, there are a number of things. The spying on Trump's campaign. So they spy.
Okay. So a couple of things, and I'm going to work it backwards. Bro, they weren't there looking for Hillary Clinton's emails when they took pictures of all of the classified documents that you had on your floor. And the only thing that you could come up with at the time was, I didn't leave that stuff on the floor. They messed up my floor. Laura, he even went as far as the other day to say that they disrespected his property because when they came in there to do the so-called raid, they didn't take their shoes off.
You mean to tell me he didn't have the box with the plastic slippers?
Well,
that's what you should have.
If he wanted, he should have had it like a hotel and had a robe and slippers at the door. So when they raided the place, you know, because everybody knows that when the FBI normally raid your place, they ask you, do you prefer the shoes off at the door? Everybody knows that. But apparently this time they didn't ask. But this is what entitlement looks like, right? But this fool literally thought that they were looking for Hillary's emails or evidence about spying on Trump's campaign. I love how he says third person, on Trump's campaign and things like that. But the thing that really got me, and you got to understand, I've heard this dude say a lot of crazy stuff. We've heard about him saying stuff about nuking hurricanes, injecting bleach, wanting to buy Greenland, all kinds of things. But this is the one clip, Jermaine, that just kind of did it for me.
Different people say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it, because you're sending it.
Jermaine,
Yep.
have you ever heard of a declassification process where you could simply think it?
On Vulcan.
Listen, I, if you're Vulcan, he's trying to invoke the Jedi mind trick. What's happening? Like he's like Darth Vader or something.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, wow.
Look, the dude's a clown, right?
But you know what? But again, it goes back to the Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it reminds me of the scene in the Black Panther where Killmonger is whooping Black Panther's ass, and he raises him up and he says, "Is this your king?"
Yes,
because he's getting his ass whooped, and I'm sitting there looking at this fool, and I'm going,
well, so here's the thing.
Voted for him, 80 million.
Yes. Yeah. Because of something they call white inks. I'm not sure what that is.
That's a lot of white inks to look past all that orange dumb shit. I'm sorry.
I actually thought I knew what inks was until they used it in that context, and I'm not sure anymore. But here's the thing, obviously, and so, but you got to understand again, why is he on Hannity? Why is he talking about this stuff? Because they're not doing it in court, right?
Well, and that's a good point. And we know why he goes on Hannity, because any reasonable reporter, when somebody said that, would have said, whoa. What do you mean think it?
So
Hannity wasn't there to push back. He was there to give him a platform.
Yes, because and again, whether it be this or the fraud when elections and stuff, lawyers aren't allowed to just bring frivolous stuff and waste the court's time and stuff. And that's why most of the attorneys that work for Donald Trump now have attorneys of their own.
That's what MAGA stands for now, they say.
Yeah.
Make attorneys get attorneys.
Yeah. And that's funny. I really hadn't heard that.
Well, you haven't?
No, I hadn't heard that. But it's true. It's true. So,
okay.
In this storage issue case with the former president, they asked for a special master, and special master is a long-seated judge, jury, and so he played no games. He called them to, and the first thing he asked was, "Are you saying that these documents are not classified?" And so basically, word salad, words. The lawyers are, we don't know, we need to see them. And so he's like, well, I've dealt with all kind of sensitive documents and stuff, and I may provide a ruling if you won't say, because the FBI has all they had to do was a picture that said classified on it, but they've given enough evidence that I can rule on this unless you are willing to challenge in court that your client declassified these documents. Will you say that? Well, he's saying he did it by thought and stuff, but his lawyers won't admit it in court that he did it at all. And basically what they said is that you'd have to ask him, you'd have to bring criminal charges and ask him. And the reason,
Jermaine, to expound on your point is because the state of Michigan already found some lawyers to be untruthful.
I'll be right back.
All right.
I got corn on the grill.
Oh, nice. some lawyers had already been admonished by a judge in Minnesota for bringing some frivolous things about the whole election fraud when it came to the whole election issue, and Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell and all them had come up, Lori. They were already rebuked by a judge because they were wasting the court's time, basically saying there was fraud. And when they would get in front of the judge, they wouldn't be able to present any fraud. There was even a time when Rudy Giuliani was flat out questioned, hey, what is your evidence of fraud? And he says, well, this isn't a case about fraud. But then when they would get in front of cameras and everything, they would talk about fraud and irregularities and things like that. But what you can say in front of a camera, on social media, on Fox News, OAN, and all those things is a lot different than what you can say in a court of law. If you are a lawyer and you are knowingly lying or misrepresenting facts, you can be disbarred. You can have your whole law license revoked, and that's what's happened to Rudy Giuliani in the state in Washington. It's been revoked, and in New York, it's been revoked. He may be able to get it back at some point in time, but he cannot practice law in the state of New York and in the District of Columbia for that very reason. Because so a lot of these attorneys, just like now one of Trump's attorneys, listen to him say that, oh yeah, we gave everything back, and she signed off on it. She signed a document basically saying, no, we gave you everything, because she based it off of what he said, and it wasn't true. So she had to lawyer up because now she could be in some legal jeopardy. So now these other lawyers don't want to go into court talking about stuff being declassified because they don't trust their client to be truthful because he has a history of lying, and they don't want to repeat the lie.
But no matter if they don't want to repeat the lie, the whole thing is you decided to get on that bandwagon with a liar.
Well, the reason is because for most people outside of Donald Trump, if you're a lawyer, I mean, what happened after Johnny Cochran represented OJ? Everybody knew who Johnny Cochran was after that. Everybody knew who Robert Kardashian was after that. Thanks a lot. But that's how people end up in fame and stuff like that. So,
but even with the fame, but all of these people that were made famous by Orange Julius are in different situations that they wouldn't have been before. Like what is Spicer? I mean, what is he doing right now?
Well, he did get on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, but then he get off. But didn't he get off? I mean, get voted off. But however, even if you're 10 minutes of fame, you still your livelihood is affected unless you're going to have a job in
if you ask Alan Dershowitz, the reason that happens is because the left cancels you and you can't attend functions at Martha's Vineyard anymore. So
but you wouldn't be going to Martha's Vineyard. You would be going to a ranch in the middle of Montana somewhere, hanging out with the buffalo.
Listen,
why would you want to go to Martha's Vineyard?
I agree with you, but there are enough low level. You got to remember, he had to dig real deep to find most of the current lawyers that he has, because you're right. There's a lot of other ones that said our reputation means too much for us to try to represent you because you're known for stiffing bills, not listening to your counsel, trying to be your own counsel, or end up making us perjure ourselves where we risk losing our law license because of you.
But are these people the same people that would be going out for PPE loans because they haven't gotten paid because he decided to stiff them?
Well, it's just more or less, Lori, that these are people that, hey, one of them was a parking garage attorney. So this is going to be one of the biggest cases of their life to defend the ex-president. And they do understand that there's some legal gymnastics that they have to perform to stay out of jail. And a lot of them will say, oh yeah, I can represent him the best I can without lying. I'll just have to figure out how to get around his lying to do it.
And that's why they had the word salad stuff going on I was talking about earlier.
Yes.
Right. Is that they're talking without talking. They're not trying to make definitive statements. They're not trying to lose their license and stuff, but they're trying to defend them the best they can, which I'm not really sure they're doing such a great job. But it's an impossible task, right? Because you have a client who publicly, everything he says gets to be used in court, right? So keep going on Hannity. FBI isn't, they're basically going to say, you said on the national TV, this is what you declassified in your mind. Do you believe that to be true? And he's under oath going to have to say, because he's going to get indicted for this, which is hilarious to me. He tried to overthrow the government and nothing, crickets, basically for over a year and stuff. And it's a bunch of librarians that are going to send him to jail. I mean,
this is what the National Archives is.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's a bunch of librarians. The Dewey Decimal System is going to take down Donald Trump. And it's hilarious. But all these proclamations he makes in public, he never makes them in court. Never, ever, ever, ever. It doesn't matter what case it is. And he's been sued a lot. He has never, whatever he says in public, never shows up in court. Even with the stuff going on in New York, with the fraud and stuff. It's so funny because his lawyers are arguing, if you not keeping up with that case, that he overvalued his properties and stuff. Like Mar-a-Lago is worth $179 million, which is a crazy lot of money, but he said it's worth $700 million.
700 and something, right?
And so why would you do that? Well, because when I go get a loan and stuff, I need my assets to be a certain value so I can get better deals and more money because I have more collateral and stuff, and so I can get better loans and stuff. And so what his representatives are like, he never did that and stuff, and What they're basically arguing in his defense is that he didn't commit loan fraud; he committed tax fraud.
Well, he had another defense, Jermaine, last night where he basically said, "Hey, these were just our numbers. It was up to the banks to check it and verify it and appraise it." Wait, what?
What? I'm confused.
And then like his Trump Tower apartment, where he said it was over 33,000 square feet, and it wasn't anything near that. It was only a couple thousand.
11.
Yeah, 11,000. So and he built Trump Tower, so he would know exactly how big his apartment is.
Well, Bigley is a large space.
Bigley.
Yes, Bigley is a very large place.
Or Jermaine, they even had one where he had apartments, but he was reporting them as if they were empty and the value of them if he sold them today. But the problem is they're occupied. So you couldn't sell them for that.
Well, and so their argument for all this stuff is that he didn't commit loan fraud. It's like, so as a realtor, I'm going to tell you that you don't want to commit mortgage fraud. And a lot of people go, well, how will they know? I go, well, I mean, is it worth getting raped? I just don't know if the return on investment is there and stuff. But for him, because he overvalued, let's take Mar-a-Lago with the 179. He evaluated at $7 million. Guess what he didn't pay taxes on?
The 600 and something million.
Yeah. And so again, the argument for the defense is that, oh no, it wasn't mortgage fraud, it was tax fraud. That's not what they're saying, but that's what they're saying.
Right.
But you can't, and that is actually the AG's argument is you can't have it both ways. And it's kind of a checkmate kind of move because your argument to get out of the mortgage fraud leads
puts you into something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. And I like the fact that she really put the pressure on, because she's doing a civil case. But even when you're doing one investigation, a lot of times if you see criminality, you can bring it up and refer it to the proper jurisdictions that would oversee it. So
Yes.
now she's really put it back in Alvin Bragg's lap, the New York district attorney, I'm sorry, and also the Department of Justice, to say, hey, look, there's some federal charges here that y'all need to look at as well, because this is some serious stuff. But the main thing is that why would this be a surprise? Because how's Trump University doing? Oh, okay, that's right. They had to dissolve it because of fraud. How is the Trump Foundation doing? Oh, that's right. They had to dissolve it because of fraud. So this is kind of par for course, where, okay, now they're going to end up having to dissolve the Trump org as they know it, because she's seeking $250 million in damages, in addition to the fact that Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka, and Eric cannot hold executive positions for any company in the state of New York. They won't be able to even buy real estate in the state of New York for a minimum of 5 years.
Yep, 5 years.
Does that includes Jared as well?
No.
No,
Oh.
he's not named. Hey, here's an interesting fact. They actually have a horse that is worth $250 million. So they're just going to give over the horse.
I heard that he tried to pay one of his lawyers with a horse.
Yeah.
When he owed the lawyer money, Lori, and instead of wanting to
$3
come
million.
off the money, he offered him the horse.
That sounds like a Soprano. That sounds like a Sopranos episode. So I hate to be as the timekeeper, but we may need to start to go into our greatest segment that we have for our show.
What's that? You know what, Lori? I kind of feel like you're ready to go into that, because there must be something on your mind that
there's nothing really on my mind per se. I just need some jokes and comedy, because I just wanted to get from you both.
Yeah. All right, but do you have anything, Lori, that you don't like? I mean, I got tons of stuff, but you go ahead.
What I don't like is people just doing a half-ass job. Just, if you're gonna do it right. And then for the accepting of it, doing it halfway, it just bothers me. I had to talk about this today, about putting a request, and then it's not done completely. And when you ask questions, and then people get annoyed because you're asking questions in order to complete what you've been asked to do.
Okay, that's fair. What about you, Jermaine?
I struggle with this every week, because I'm a happy guy and I love everybody. I don't know. I mean, really, I don't have anything comical this week that I don't like. I just, I'm in a good mood. I like everybody.
Well, you know what I don't like?
What do you don't like?
I don't like it when people say, I ain't gonna hold you, and then they continue to talk to you for an extended amount of time.
I thought we already thought about this.
You know what I don't like? I don't like when people say, long story short, but it seems like it's still a long ass story. Yes, Lori.
I have been that can be something from me, that you get one. So I know you don't like me.
No, well, you know what? New Yorkers have a way of saying that anyway. That's part of their. That's just part of their vocabulary when they're talking to you. They'll say, long story short, and then they keep going. That's just what a New Yorker does. Now, if I was a New Yorker, and Erica, I'm gonna get to yours in a second, and Erica could probably vouch for this too, coming from New York to North Carolina. I'm sure New Yorkers will say, I don't like it when people from the South say something is right down the street, because that normally means it's a couple of miles away. Because in New York, when you say it's right down the street, it's like a block or two, and you can walk it. In the country, in the South, when you say something's right down the street, what you're saying is if you get in your car and you drive, you can get there in less than 5 minutes. But that ain't what the person hears from New York. They hear you basically saying it's about a block or two away, and a block or two later, they're going, what the hell? Where is it?
That reminds me of your friend who came to visit and,
Yes.
and wanted to get something from Bojangles.
And I messed up and I said, oh, yeah, it's right down the street.
I was like, it's up the street.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well,
and we get there, and he rolls down his window. He's like, B, I thought you said that it was right down the street. I'm like, it is. He's like, man, we just went da-da-da. I'm like, oh, I forgot we're not in New York. My bad. Because I got reacclimated to being in the South. Erica says, you know what I don't like? When the nurses keep saying you're such a good patient, I'm like, what do you want me to do? Raise hell because I can. I don't want to be here or want you to bother me. You know, I think it's positive reinforcement, Erica. I think they want to speak it into existence, because I think normally when they say you're such a good patient, is because either A, you're not and they want you to be, or B, they want you to continue to be.
or they could just want to just not be bothered, and then they just don't want to talk to you.
Or you know, I hate to say it, but some of our Caucasian people just have a way of just kind of talk to you like you one of their pets anyway. But anyway, because when they see black folks, they're like, okay, they can be like a pit bull and aggressive. So let me just, you're good. You're such a good, oh, yes, you are. And you're like, are you talking to me like you're a damn dog? Anyway, but maybe I'm just skeptical about that kind of stuff. I want them to leave me alone. Yeah, I get that too. And, you know, it's funny because they will bother you at the most inopportune times. Like when you finally just start to tail off into the sleep is when they really want to come in and start sticking and prodding you and everything else. And then can't seem to understand why you seem to be a little bit aggravated with them. Like it's a surprise. Why is this person? You know what I don't like? I don't like people, and I brought this up today. I don't like people that get customer service jobs and get mad when people call them on the other side are cursing. Why did you get the damn job? You had to know that when these people called, they were already pissed off about something that your company did not do correctly. That's why they're calling you. Why are you mad? Why are you mad, bro? You know why they're calling you. You see, there's a lot of things I don't like. I don't like people to sit there and watch the Queen getting buried for 9 hours. Okay, you know, do something with your life. Hell, watch.
Oh boy.
Do something. Do something that's gonna actually gratify you. Go to Pornhub. At least you'll get something out of that. I'm just saying. Lord, don't look at me that way. I mean, damn. At least you didn't walk away from the Queen and go, "Ooh, I need a cigarette." But I bet you will if you watch a little bit of what I call myself, Derek Long, on my OnlyFans. Go to Derek Long on OnlyFans.
America, please don't support that.
I'm running a special this month, $8.99 for 3 months.
Heck no, don't support that at all.
Go to Derek Long.
No, don't go there.
AKA the human hysterectomy. But
no,
check it out. I got some good videos coming up. I'm going to New York this week to shoot some more of them. But anyway, those are.
You know that now. I'm gonna sit there and say, now what I don't like is that Brian is super excited that he's getting out of here and going to New York.
You don't like that?
No.
Why? You get to have the dog in the bed and y'all can lick each other in the face while I'm gone.
No, nobody's doing all of that.
But what I will tell you is make sure that the sheets are washed because I'm allergic to the dog and dog hairs will make my eyes burn.
Nobody's doing all of that. You will be sorely missed. And, you know, I want to make sure you get there safely and do what you have to do.
Oh, I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm definitely going to do that. So what she's alluding to is after the show, I'm going to be heading up to New York for a week. So good times, good times. Go see some
Oh,
people.
I know, Bron. I know you are excited because you're gonna go get some jerk chicken.
Yep.
Yep, you're gonna get some.
You know what I don't like? I don't like going to no Japanese steakhouse. And maybe, and God knows, please don't take, I'm not being racist.
But
everybody, but nobody in there that serves you is Japanese.
No, they're either Thai or Chinese or Malay or
Mexican. Last time I went to, I was like, okay, and which is okay. I mean, everybody need a job, but everybody in there, nobody in there was Japanese. I just thought that was, there's even Erica seen it. Yes. It's not just me. Thank you. There's somebody out there that gets me. So anyway, I don't like that. You know, it's like going to a soul food spot and everybody in there. If you saw a bunch of white people with dreadlocks, you'd be kind of like, how's this a soul food? Now, it's not that they can't, enjoy soul food. I'm not saying that. But when you're talking about being authentic and everything, it's like, okay, that's a little crazy. I don't think I'm going to go to like a Polish spot and there be a bunch of Africans in there. I mean, serving. I mean, they may be serving, but in the back cooking, I wouldn't think that's authentic. You go to a Chinese restaurant and there's no Chinese people in it. It's like, okay, that's a little different. I mean, if you want to say we serve Chinese fare without the sign outside calling it a Chinese restaurant, that, I don't know. I think that's a little bit misleading. Maybe I need to get with the times, Jermaine, that you can have different cultures. Well, you know what? And lastly, because I know we got to go. You know what I really don't like?
What's that?
I don't like it when people that have no platform use the platform that they do have to promote fear. And what I mean is that there are people out there, Lori, the Republican Party always talks about being the party of life and birth and everything else. And when you look at what's going on in Ukraine, we are sending money, we are sending supplies and billions of dollars to keep people from having their country taken over from Russia, to be able to say to them that they have a right to exist, that their lives mean something, that we are looking at this from a humanity standpoint and saying, you are human and we recognize your humanity. What I don't like is when people sit there and take people that are escaping their country, they're refugees, they came here legally, and somebody comes to them and offers them something under false pretenses and flies them to Martha's Vineyard in the middle of nowhere, leading them to believe that there were jobs and money and all kinds of resources waiting for them in Martha's Vineyard. What I don't like is when you are trying so hard to look so strong that you basically have to go borrow people from a state that you're not even affiliated with to fly those people to Martha's Vineyard. Ron DeSantis, I am talking about you because you are a horrible POS. Ron DeSantis, who is obviously running for president in 2024, got 50 people from the state of Texas and flew them to Martha's Vineyard as to where he calls a sanctuary area. And he misused funds from Florida that basically dealt with the refugee issue in Florida. And his piss poor excuse was, well, a lot of them had intentions to come to Florida, so we basically just cutting them off at the pass. Well, that ain't what that law says. And those funds were were COVID funds that were extra, I guess, that they were using to earmark for that. And he even has people in his own party upset because he basically misused those funds. He chartered a flight, Lori, spent $600,000 in taxpayer money to make a political point. How do we know it was a political point? Because the people that were receiving the migrants did not know in advance that they were coming, but Fox News did. It was all to sit there and use human beings as political props.
Well, if you know anything about the history of this country, then you know that that's not the first time that's been done.
It really isn't, but it's despicable, and I don't care if it's a Republican that does it, if it's a Democrat that does it. They always do it at the State of the Unions where everybody brings a certain guest, and everybody wants to congratulate them, salute this person and that person, and you never hear anything else about them again after the speeches and everything else.
They've done it in the history of this country when they were doing civil rights and stuff like that. They shipped black people up north for the same effect.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is that there's nothing new in the sun. These are the same playbooks and stuff. You know what I don't like? I don't like when people can't be original and they keep using granddaddy's racist tactics. Come up with your own. Be original.
Well, and you know what? And I'm going to throw a Joe Biden one in there because he said something the other day that I certainly didn't like. Because I couldn't believe he said it and didn't combust. He was it's UN week right now in New York, and he was standing in front of everybody at the UN, and he's speaking about Russia and their aggression against Ukraine, and he literally said, "You can't take a country by force."
Okay.
Does anybody want to tell him? This country got taken by force, bro. Anyway, I could go on and on about things that I don't like. If there's things that you don't like, please send them to theparkermedia@gmail.com. I will give you the credit to use them, or just write it down, hold on to it, and do it on the next show. But we got to get out of here because Lori's looking at me really hard. She don't look at me like that unless she wants me to look at that. Oh, yeah. I definitely don't like that. I got to get out of here. That's why I sleep with one eye open, y'all. Anyway, we're going to get up out of here for this week. Lori, I'm going to let you bring us out instead of the producer this time. But this is Brian Parker for Head to Head. I'd like to thank Lori Parker, Jermaine the Franchise Parker. We will see y'all again next week. Y'all be easy. Peace.
This is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And this a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.